All right, so for Norfolk State, we have Christian Ings and Brian Moore Jr. At this time, we'll go ahead and open up the floor for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand and wait till we get to the microphone. If we could start with Mr. Teal there.
David Teal with the Virginian Pilot. Guys, you had 3 games this season against power conference opponents, 2 of which were very competitive. Do you use that as a source of confidence as you prepare for Florida tomorrow?
Christian, could you answer that question first?
We definitely use those games as a launching point and a baseline for how we know we have to perform to just even be in the game, let alone win it. So using those games, against Tennessee and Baylor, we use those as like markers to let us know where we are and how far we have to go to get to our goal.
Brian, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, just to add, I just think that, those games gave us faith for a game like that. I think it was like a test run for Florida, who we play tomorrow. I think that's the biggest thing, getting them 3 games in early in the season.
All right, Sully, can we get in the middle here? And then we'll get...
Stephen Gaither, HBCU Game Day. Well, go with Brian. This is your first year on Norfolk State. Here on the big stage, just talk about, what this journey's been like for you with this team and to be here, playing in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, man, it's just been amazing, man. Just, being in the transfer portal, coming to Norfolk State, the biggest thing when I went in the portal is I wanted to go to a place that had winning tradition. And, going here, guys like him made it easy. I felt like a family atmosphere from the moment I got on campus. And it's just amazing, in June we set a goal to get to the NCAA tournament, and now we're here.
Okay, let's get Mark on the aisle. You had a question, Mark? Okay, and then we'll go here, Sully.
It's for this is Mark Cannizzaro from the New York Post. For both of you guys, can you speak to when you watch film of Walter Clayton, what you see in him, how difficult he is, how much of a...
Christian, could you go first?
We just started our film session, yesterday. Watching personnel, watching Clayton, he's definitely a very, I'd say, microwave scorer. He scores fast and heats up quick. He does like to use his mental game a lot more than his physical, making sure that, if you bite on a move, he'll make you pay for it every time. He has a very elite jump shot, a very quick trigger. So we got to make sure that we get to the body on him. And he's just a floor general. He keeps everybody in line. He's the engine behind the team, and we know he's a very vital part to what they've done this year.
Brian, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, like Christian said, he's a really good shooter. He's the head of the snake for Florida. I think what makes them go. And, obviously, he's first-team All-American he was. So, obviously it's a big challenge, us both being point guards, and we probably have that matchup.
Okay, Sully, can you go here to Steve? And Ethan, if you can go back in the middle, please. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun. I'm just curious for both of you if you ever heard any stories about the 2012 team, and do any former players like Kyle O'Quinn keep in touch and so forth? That was a team that obviously upset Missouri in the first round.
Christian?
Oh, man, I'm glad you brought that one up. That's a good question. Well, shout out to Kyle O'Quinn. He's around all the time. He's been here this whole season, in and out, giving us good words, motivation. Him and one of his other teammates came in and just spoke to us the day before we left on Wednesday. So, yeah, we talk about that 2012 team all the time, and we're just trying to remake the magic that they had. Maybe even push it forward a little further. That's all.
Okay, let's go back in the middle.
Kyle Nashheim, CBB Review. This is for you, Christian. What lessons did you learn from last year's CIT title win that you can hope to apply tomorrow against Florida to try to hopefully possibly shock the world?
I know one thing we learned from that game was that, the halftime score isn't the final score. Like last year's CIT championship, we were losing at halftime, and the temperature was high in the locker room. We was hot. We was upset. We felt like we weren't playing the best that we could. But at the end of that game, we made a push to come out the second half, and we ended up winning. So I just know no matter what the score is, by the time we get to halftime, that's not the full game. There's another 20 minutes to play, and anything can happen in 20 minutes.
Let's get David on the edge there, and then we'll go back to the middle here.
You guys had 3 games in the MEAC tournament. I think the combined margin was 11 points. You had Brian's buzzer beater against A&T at Eccles Hall. What of those moments in really tense games taught you guys about yourselves and this team and what you can do in a pressurized situation?
Brian, could you answer that, please?
I just think this is a resilient group. I think no matter what, we go fight. And we showed that throughout this year numerous of times versus, Power 5 schools versus schools in our own conference. I think the one thing about us, we stick together at all times. We never really fragment, whether we're down 20, up 20, down 10, 2 minutes left, like no matter what, we try to stay together. I think that's the reason why we made it so far.
Okay, Sully, can we get in the middle here?
Stephen Gaither, HBCU Game Day again. This is for either of the guys. The other day we saw Alabama State in the SWAC pick up a win. How important is it for you guys not only to represent Norfolk State, but to represent your conference and HBCUs on this big stage and potentially come up with a huge upset?
Christian, could you go first?
What's up, Steve? That's my guy, man. That's my guy, Steve. But it's definitely inspirational, definitely motivational for sure to see another HBCU in the tournament have success. Coming into the tournament, every win is a big win. So to see them win and put on for HBCUs, it just gives us a little bit more fire behind us to HBCUs are here to play this year.
Brian, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, me being the first time I'm at an HBCU, I just think that the culture around all HBCUs is amazing. I got people from Southern that's texting me, people from other schools in the SWAC that then text me and just congratulate me. So it just shows us like a community, like support throughout all the HBCUs.
Let's go back to David on the edge.
Guys, what kind of excitement is there around campus for athletics overall? Michael Vick is your football coach. The women's team is headed up to College Park for the NCAA tournament. You guys are here. Is there a pretty good vibe?
Brian, why don't you go first this time?
Yeah, definitely a pretty good vibe. I mean, we didn't really get to celebrate with our students because we're on spring break right now. But as far as like the Michael Vick and then obviously, Coach Larry Vickers and the women's team being up in Maryland, being the 13th seed, I think it's just amazing for Norfolk State. I think we're getting a lot of national attention and, it's on us to keep that going.
Christian, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, definitely shout out to Norfolk State Athletics. It's been an amazing year this year for, basketball, football, and all athletics in general. I just like to say shout out to Norfolk State Athletics.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Going once, going twice. All right, gentlemen, you're excused. Thank you very much, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate it.
All right, so 12:05 start time for Coach Jones.